Little alien girl ate his scraps like a dog until one human saw her wearing a prom dress. Rift Harbor sprawled beneath Kethra's crimson sky. Iron dust coated everything. It hung heavy in the air. Endless mining choked the colony's breath. Workers shuffled through the haze. Their faces were lined with exhaustion. Evan Cole trudged along the main strip. At 30, he was a mechanic. His overalls clung to him, greasy and stained red from the dust. The day's shift had drained him. His stomach growled softly. In his pocket sat his last protein cake. It felt small against his calloused fingers. Neon signs flickered along the strip. They promised cheap meals. Few delivered. Evan headed for his bunk. The air smelled of rust and sweat. Outside a diner, he stopped. A frail Linarian girl crouched there. Her silver-purple hair fell matted over her face. She scavenged scraps from the ground. Her hands trembled as she reached for a crust. Evan watched her quietly. Her large eyes lifted. They were sad, almost pleading. Most would shoo her off. He didn't. Instead, he pulled out the protein cake. He broke it carefully, half for her. "Here," he said, voice low and warm. "Take this." Kayla stared at the offering. Her fingers hesitated, then closed around it. Her cool skin brushed his. Gratitude shimmered in her gaze. She clutched the cake like a lifeline. Barely a word passed her lips. Just a nod. Evan's lips curved slightly. He turned to walk away. The moment felt right. A small kindness in a cruel place. Steps later, shouts shattered the quiet. Harsh voices cut through the dust. Mordak Reese's gang surged forward. The Draconid hybrid led them. His gray scales caught the neon glow. A long scar twisted across his face. Yellow eyes scanned the crowd. They grabbed Kalis roughly. She let out a soft yelp. The cake tumbled into the dirt. Evan froze mid-step. His heart kicked harder. Rift Harbor had rules. Mind your own business. Always. He stood there, rooted. Compassion tugged at him. It sparked like a frayed wire. Around him, workers turned away. No one dared interfere. That was the colony's way. Evan's fist clenched tight. The gang dragged Kalis toward the shadows. Her small frame vanished in their grip. Memory stirred in Evan's mind. His own childhood, hungry and alone, scraping for scraps in alleys. No one had helped him then. From a nearby stall, an old miner watched. His gray beard was caked with dust. He muttered under his breath. "Foolish, helping strays. Won't change a thing." The words reached Evan's ears. They stung but didn't sway him. His inner turmoil churned. It peaked like a dropped wrench. He couldn't walk away, not now. He turned back sharply. Decision made. He would follow them. Evan slipped into the alleys. Shadows swallowed him whole. His heart raced, steady and loud. The gang moved toward the industrial sector. Rusted pipes loomed overhead. Red lights flickered in the haze. He kept his distance. His breath stayed even. No plan guided him, only instinct. Kalis's sad eyes lingered in his mind. They pulled him forward. He couldn't shake their weight. The strip faded behind him. Dust swirled at his boots. A patrolling drone hummed nearby. Evan dodged it smoothly. Its warning buzz faded. He pressed on. The gang's voices echoed faintly. Rough laughs mixed with orders. Kalis stayed silent. Evan pictured her fear. Maybe chained. Maybe worse. Rift Harbor hid dark trades. Slaves passed through often. Reese controlled most of it. Evan rounded a corner. Sigma 9 loomed ahead. Its derelict walls stood cracked and gray. He halted, watching. The gang entered the complex. The door creaked shut. His mind raced. Now what? He was alone. His tools clinked softly in his pocket. Wrench, pliers, nothing more. Not weapons, but maybe enough. He took a slow breath, stepped closer. Faint cries echoed from inside. Kalis's voice muffled and small. Evan's pulse quickened. He scanned for a way in. A side vent hung loose. Perfect. He pried it open quietly, slid inside. The air tasted stale, metallic. Corridors stretched dark and empty. He moved carefully, his footsteps barely sounded. The gang's voices grew louder. They argued deeper in. Evan paused at a junction. He listened hard. Reese's voice barked clearly. "Lock her tight. Buyers will come soon. The words were cold, sharp. Evan's fist tightened again. He crept closer. The storage bay came into view. Kalis was there, chained to a post. Her thin frame shivered under a tattered cloak. She looked small, almost broken. Evan's chest tightened at the sight. He ducked back. His mind spun fast. No way in alone. He needed help. But who? Rift Harbor trusted no one. Then he thought of Selene Voss, former company doctor, now rogue. She hated the mining company's ways. She might listen. Evan backtracked silently. Out the vent again. Dust settled outside. He ran toward her hideout, an old medbay tucked away. He knocked softly. The door cracked open. Selene's golden brown eyes peered out. Cole, what's this about? He spilled the story fast. The girl, the grab, her plight. Selene's gaze hardened. Disgust flashed across her face. Reese is scum. I'm in. Her voice was firm. She pulled him inside. The medbay was cluttered. Tools and bandages lined the walls. She listened closely. Nodded once. They had a plan. Evan grabbed his tools. Selene packed her medkit. They set out together, back to Sigma 9. Night deepened around them. The crimson sky turned black. Stars peeked through the dust. Evan felt the pull stronger now. This act, small as it was, might grow bigger. He didn't know how yet, but it drove him forward. They reached the complex. Its walls loomed silent and grim. Selene took the lead. Her steps were sure, practiced. Stay quiet, she whispered. Evan nodded. They slipped through the vent again. Inside, echoes guided them. The storage bay lay ahead. A guard paced lazily. Evan signaled to Selene. He toppled a stack of crates nearby. The crash rang loud. The guard spun, rushing toward the noise. They had their opening. Evan and Selene moved swiftly through Sigma 9's darkened corridors. The air hung heavy with rust and oil. Flickering red lights cast jagged shadows. Rusted pipelines snaked along the walls. Their hum vibrated faintly. Evan's boots scraped softly on the cracked floor. He kept his wrench gripped tight. Selene's medkit jostled at her side. Her golden brown eyes scanned ahead. The storage bay was closed. Kalis's faint cries echoed. They urged the pair forward. The complex felt like a tomb. Crumbling machinery loomed in corners. Echoes bounced off steel walls. Evan's heart beat steadily. He glanced at Selene. Her face was set, focused. She hated this place, hated the mining company more. Years ago, she'd walked away. Couldn't stomach their greed. Evan knew her story vaguely. Rogue medic now, helping those the company ignored. Saving Kalis was her fight too. Selene's thoughts flickered briefly. She saw Rift Harbor's cruelty daily. Workers broken by labor. Aliens like Kalis are treated as less. Helping her felt like a strike back. A small rebellion. Her resolve hardened. She nodded to Evan. They crept closer to the bay. Voices grew louder, rough and impatient. Reese's men argued over their prize. Kalis's silence cut deeper. Evan pictured her fear. It fueled his steps. They reached the bay's entrance. Peered inside. Kalis sat chained to a post. Her tattered cloak barely covered her. Silver-purple hair fell over her face. She shivered but stayed quiet. Two guards stood nearby. Plasma rifles slung loose. They laughed, crude and loud. Evan's jaw tightened. Selene pointed to a stack of crates. Unstable. Poorly stacked. Perfect for a distraction. Evan nodded, understanding. He moved silently, reached the crates. His wrench tapped a weak support. The stack wobbled, then crashed. Metal clanged against the floor. Guards spun, startled. "What's that?" one barked. They rushed toward the noise. Selene darted to Kalis. Her tools clicked fast. Chains fell loose. Kalis gasped softly. "You came back," she whispered. Selene shushed her gently. They had to move. Evan rejoined them. The trio slipped into a side tunnel. Alarms wailed faintly behind. Guards shouted, confused. The complex's maze gave cover. Evan knew these paths. Years of fixing machines here taught him well. He led them through tight corridors. Dust stung their eyes. Kalis stumbled suddenly. Her knees hit the ground. Selene knelt fast. Checked for wounds. Then she froze. Faint glowing patterns pulsed under Kalis's dirty skin. Intricate, like star charts. "What's this?" Selene whispered, curious. Kalis's eyes widened. Fear flashed, then softened. She hesitated, then spoke. "I'm a Lanarian princess." Her voice was barely audible. "My mother was queen. A coup took her. Enemies hunt me now." The words landed heavily. Evan blinked, stunned. He'd shared cake with a royal. Not just a hungry girl. His mind reeled. This was bigger than he'd thought. Selene's gaze sharpened. "Reese wants to sell you. To whom?" Kalis swallowed hard. "Political enemies. For power. Money." Evan shook his head. He just wanted to help. Now this. A conspiracy stretching beyond Rift Harbor. Selene stood firm. "We get her to the backup monastery, 50 kilometers out. It's got an interstellar link. We call the Alliance." Her voice left no room for doubt. Evan nodded slowly. Plan set. They moved again. Tunnels twisted deeper. Red lights dimmed to flickers. Kalis struggled to keep pace. Her frame was frail, weakened. Selene supported her arm. The glowing patterns pulsed brighter. Stress made them vivid. Evan glanced back, saw the glow. It felt surreal. Royalty in this dust pit. He pushed the thought aside. Focus on escape. That's what mattered. A worker's voice broke the silence. "Cole?" 3 miners appeared from a side path. Faces grimy, familiar. Evan had fixed their rigs before. They recognized him. "Trouble?" one asked, eyeing Kalis. Evan nodded. "Need a way out. Fast." The miners exchanged looks. One pointed to a hidden route. "That way. Less patrols." Gratitude passed unspoken. Evan led on. The hidden path was narrow. Walls pressed close. Evan's tools clinked softly. He checked each junction. Machinery hummed low. He knew these sounds, could tell safe from danger. Selene kept Kalis steady. The girl's breathing was shallow. "Hold on," Selene murmured. Her voice was calm, practiced. Evan admired that. She never faltered under pressure. They paused in a small cavern. Kalis sank to the ground. Her eyes were distant. "My mother's court was betrayed," she said softly. Her voice trembled with grief. "I ran, hid here, thought I'd be nothing." Evan crouched beside her. "Royal or not, you're a kid who needs help." His words were plain but firm. Kalis's lips twitched, almost a smile. Selene spoke up quietly. "I studied medicine because of your people." Her eyes met Kalis's. "A Lanarian royal grant paid my way. Didn't know it was tied to you." Kalis looked surprised. A thread of fate connected them. Evan felt it too. Small acts weaved together. His cake, Selene's past. Now this. A low hum broke the moment. Hover drones. Reese's men were closing in. Evan's heart kicked up. "We move! Now!" He spotted an old mining cart nearby, rusted but intact. He rigged it fast. Wires sparked under his hands. "Get in," he said. Selene helped Kalis climb aboard. The cart rattled to life. It sped through the tunnels, 40 kilometers an hour. Dust whipped past. The monastery wasn't far, 50 kilometers total. They'd make it. Evan gripped the controls, tunnels blurred by. Selene held Kalis close. The girl's markings glowed faintly. Hope flickered in her eyes. Evan felt it too, a spark in the dark. But drones hummed louder. Reese wasn't giving up. The chase tightened. Evan's jaw set firm. They'd reach sanctuary, or die trying. The mining cart roared through Kethra's underground tunnels, its wheels screeching against rusted tracks as Evan gripped the controls. Dust swirled in the dim glow of overhead lamps, their flickering light barely piercing the darkness. The air smelled of damp stone and old metal. Selene held Kalis close in the cart's shaky frame, her arms steadying the girl's frail body as silver-purple hair whipped in the wind. Kalis's glowing markings pulsed faintly under her skin, a quiet sign of her fading strength. The backup monastery lay 50 kilometers ahead, its promise of sanctuary driving them forward through the labyrinth. Evan knew these mines like his own hands. Years spent repairing their clanking machines had mapped every twist in his mind. He steered the cart around a collapsed tunnel section, sparks flying as the wheels grazed jagged metal. The cart hit 40 kilometers an hour, fast for these decaying tracks. But Reese's drones buzzed closer, their hum a relentless threat. Selene glanced back, her golden brown eyes sharp with focus, and tightened her grip on Kalis. "Hold on," she murmured, her voice a calm anchor in the chaos. Kalis nodded, her small hands clutching the cart's edge, her eyes fixed on the path ahead. The tunnels wound tighter, walls pressing in as if to choke their escape. Evan's instincts guided them, his hands quick to dodge loose rocks and splintered beams that littered the tracks. Kalis stumbled slightly as the cart lurched over a rough patch, her knees buckling under her weight. Selene caught her swiftly, checking for injuries, and froze when she saw the glowing patterns on Kalis's arm pulse brighter, intricate lines shimmering like starlight. "These markings," Selene said softly, her voice tinged with awe. "They're royal, stronger now under stress." Kalis's eyes flickered with fear, but held a spark of resolve. She said nothing, leaning into Selene's support as they pressed on. A faint shout broke the tunnel's drone. Evan eased the cart to a slower pace, wary of the sound. 3 miners stepped from a side path, their grimy faces familiar from repair jobs Evan had done on their rigs. "Cole," one called, his voice low as he eyed Kalis and Selene. "Trouble?" Evan gave a tight nod, his words quick and urgent. "Reese is after us. Need a clear path." The miners exchanged glances, then one pointed to a hidden route, its entrance half concealed by rubble. "Take that. No drones there." Evan met their eyes, gratitude passing in a silent moment, and steered the cart toward the new path. The hidden route was narrow, its walls scraping the cart's sides as they plunged deeper. The hum of machinery faded, replaced by the soft drip of water somewhere in the dark. Evan slowed the cart in a small cavern, its rough walls glistening faintly under stray light. They needed a moment to breathe. Kayla sank to the ground, her breathing shallow, her frame trembling from the ordeal. Selene knelt beside her, checking her pulse with practiced hands. "She's weak," Selene said, her tone steady but concerned. "We can't stop long." Kalis's eyes drifted, heavy with grief, and her voice broke the silence. "My mother's court was betrayed," she said, each word trembling as if pulled from a wound. "They killed her, and I ran, hiding here, thinking I'd be nothing." The confession hung in the cavern's still air. Evan crouched beside her, his own memories of a hungry childhood stirring. "Royal or not," he said gently, his voice firm with conviction, "you're a kid who needs help, and that's enough for me." Kalis's lips twitched, the ghost of a smile breaking through her sorrow. Selene's gaze softened as she spoke, her words quiet but deliberate. "I owe your people, Kalis. A Linnarian royal grant paid for my medical training years ago. I didn't know it was tied to you." Kalis looked up, surprise flickering in her eyes, a thread of fate weaving them together in this dusty refuge. Evan felt it too, the strange pull of small acts converging. His shared cake, Selene's past, Kalis's hidden truth, all bound in this moment. The drone's hum grew sharper, cutting through the cavern's quiet. Reese's men were closing in, their pursuit relentless. Evan stood, his jaw tight. "We move now." He checked the cart, its rusted frame groaning but holding. Selene helped Kalis climb back in, her markings glowing brighter, a beacon of hope in the dark. The cart lurched forward, tracks rattling as it gained speed. Tunnels blurred past, the air thick with dust and tension. Evan's hand stayed steady, guiding them through the maze with a mechanic's precision. The cart burst onto Kethra's surface, crimson dust swirling under a starless black sky. Ahead, the backup monastery glowed faintly, its ancient spires rising from a cliff like a promise carved in stone. Evan slowed the cart, its creak fading as they stopped. Selene helped Kalis down, her legs wobbly but her eyes alight with new strength. In the distance, dust clouds rose. Reese's vehicles, their engines a low growl. Evan's grip tightened on his wrench. Sanctuary was close, but the fight was far from over. The backup monastery loomed ahead, its stone spires glowing softly against Kethra's dusty horizon. Evan led the trio forward, his boots crunching on loose gravel. The cliff-carved sanctuary hummed faintly, its ancient walls pulsing with quiet energy. Selene supported Kalis, whose steps faltered but held firm. The girl's royal markings shimmered brighter, casting faint light on the path. Inside, robed monks greeted them, their faces calm under simple gray hoods. "Welcome," one said, his voice warm and steady. They offered water and bandages. Selene knelt to tend Kalis's scrapes. The monastery felt like a shield against the chaos outside. Evan scanned the entrance hall, its high ceiling etched with star patterns. The interstellar transmitter's hum vibrated through the stone. Selene moved to a console, her fingers quick on the controls. She sent a coded distress signal, aimed 3 light-years out to the Alliance. "It's done," she said, her tone clipped but certain. Kalis watched silently, her large eyes reflecting the console's glow. Evan wandered deeper, drawn to the monastery's archives. Holographic records flickered to life, detailing 500 years of Lunarian history. Their elegance stunned him, a stark contrast to Rift Harbor's grime. Kalis stood alone in the central chamber, gazing at the starlit ceiling. Her thoughts churned with new weight. Royalty wasn't just markings, it was duty, heavy and unyielding. She clutched a small Lunarian relic, its smooth surface grounding her. For the first time, she felt her mother's legacy calling. Outside, a monk's shout broke her reverie. "Vehicles approaching," he warned, pointing to dust clouds on the cliff's edge. Reese's gang was close, their engines growling through the desert night. Evan returned, his wrench still in hand. Selene's eyes met his, sharp with resolve. The monks moved quickly, barricading the narrow entrance with old mining equipment. Evan helped stack heavy crates, his muscles straining under the weight. Kalis insisted on joining, her frail hands steady as she carried smaller pieces. Her markings glowed brighter, a sign of courage blooming within. Evan noticed, impressed by her grit. He showed her how to prime a pressure tube, a mechanic's trick for mining rigs. "Twist here," he said, guiding her hands. "It'll make a smokescreen if we need it." Kalis nodded, her eyes focused and sure. Selene organized the monks, her voice calm but commanding. She checked their defenses, ensuring every gap was sealed. The monastery's warm lights flickered, a beacon in Kethra's cold desert. Evan felt the tension rising, his pulse quickening with each distant engine roar. The monks chanted softly, their voices blending with the transmitter's hum. It grounded him, a reminder of what they fought for. Kalis stood taller, her relic tucked away, ready to face what came. Outside, the dust clouds grew thicker, Reese's vehicles now visible under the crimson sky. Their red lights cut through the dark, harsh and unyielding. Evan gripped his tools tighter, his mind racing for strategies. Selene glanced at him, her expression steady but urgent. "We hold the line," she said firmly. The monks nodded, their faces serene despite the threat. Kalis stepped closer to Evan, her voice soft but clear. "You gave me hope," she said. "I'll fight too." Her words hit deep, sparking warmth in his chest. The monastery's walls seemed to pulse with defiance, their ancient stone unyielding. Evan checked the pressure tube again, ensuring it was ready. Selene distributed spare tools to the monks, makeshift weapons for the fight ahead. The transmitter's signal pulsed stronger, a lifeline to the Alliance, still hours away across 3 trillion kilometers. Evan's thoughts flickered to Kalis's markings, their glow a symbol of something bigger. He wasn't just saving a girl anymore. This was about hope, maybe for all of Kethra. The first of Reese's men appeared, their silhouettes sharp against the desert's red haze. Plasma weapons glinted in their hands, casting eerie light. The monks tightened their circle around the entrance, their chants rising in quiet resolve. Evan positioned himself near the barricade, his wrench heavy but familiar. Selene stood beside him, her med kit ready for what followed. Kalis stayed close, her markings a faint glow in the dim hall. The air grew thick with anticipation, the calm before a storm. Night settled fully, the monastery's warm lights a stark contrast to the cold desert. Reese's gang closed in, their footsteps echoing like a drumbeat. Evan's grip tightened, his heart steady but fierce. The monks' chants grew louder, a shield of sound against the coming fight. Kalis's eyes met his, no longer sad but burning with purpose. They were ready, together, to face the siege. The monastery's stone walls trembled as Reese's gang stormed forward, their plasma weapons flashing red light across the entrance. 20 men strong, they moved with brutal precision, their boots kicking up clouds of Kethra's crimson dust. Evan crouched behind the barricade, his wrench gripped tight, heart pounding but steady. Selene stood beside him, her medkit slung over her shoulder, eyes scanning the approaching threat. Kalis huddled with the monks, her royal markings glowing softly, a beacon in the dim hall. The monks' chants rose, defiant against the chaos, their voices weaving a thread of calm through the tension. Evan acted first, twisting the pressure tube's valve with practiced hands. A hiss filled the air, then a dense smokescreen of iron dust erupted, swallowing the attackers in a choking haze. Shouts of confusion echoed from Reese's men, their plasma shots going wide, scorching the monastery's outer walls. Selene seized the moment, directing the monks to reinforce the barricade with more crates. Her voice cut through the noise, calm but urgent. "Hold the line," she said, her golden brown eyes fierce with resolve. Evan admired her steadiness, a rock in the storm. Kalis clutched her Lunarian relic, whispering a prayer for strength, her frail frame tucked behind a stone pillar. Her markings pulsed brighter, their glow casting faint shadows on the monks around her. One monk placed a hand on her shoulder, his face serene despite the danger. Outside, the smoke screen thinned, and Reese's men regrouped, their weapons humming with fresh charge. Evan spotted a hover drone circling above, its red eye scanning for targets. He grabbed his wrench, aimed carefully, and hurled it at the drone's rotor. The tool struck true, jamming the blades, and the drone crashed into a pile of rubble with a satisfying crunch. Selene tended a wounded monk, her hands quick as she bandaged a plasma burn on his arm. "Stay with me," she murmured, her voice soothing but firm, keeping the group's morale intact. The monk nodded, gripping his staff tighter, ready to fight again. Kalis watched Selene work, her eyes wide with admiration, the relic still clutched tight. The monks formed a protective circle around her, their chants rising louder, a wall of sound against the violence outside. Evan caught Kalis's gaze, her determination mirroring his own, and felt a spark of hope in the chaos. One of Reese's thugs hesitated at the monastery's edge, his plasma rifle lowered, shaken by the sacred ground he stood on. His perspective flickered, doubt gnawed at him, the monastery's ancient aura clashing with Reese's orders. Fear of his boss kept him moving, but his steps faltered, uncertain. Evan didn't notice. His focus was on the barricade, where plasma shots now peppered the crates, splintering metal and wood. He grabbed a spare pipe, wielding it like a club, ready for the next wave. The monks held their ground, their makeshift weapons raised, faces calm but resolute. Reese himself appeared, striding through the dust, his scarred face lit by the glow of his plasma knife. His yellow eyes locked on the barricade, voice booming with greed. "Hand over the girl, or I burn this place down." His threat hung heavy, chilling the air. Evan's jaw tightened, his grip on the pipe firm. Selene shot a flare skyward, its bright arc signaling the alliance, still hours away across 3 trillion kilometers of space. The flare's light bathed the monastery in a fleeting glow, a desperate call for help. The fight surged, Reese's men pressing harder, their weapons tearing at the barricade. Evan swung his pipe, knocking a thug back, his strength fueled by the need to protect Kalis. Selene darted between cover, dragging a wounded monk to safety, her medkit already stained with dust and blood. The monks fought with surprising ferocity, their staffs cracking against armor, their chants unbroken. Kalis stayed low, her relic a quiet anchor, her eyes tracking Evan's every move. She whispered to herself, repeating his words. "You gave me hope." It steadied her, even as the wall shook. Reese's voice roared again, closer now, his knife slashing through the haze. "She's mine!" he bellowed, his greed palpable. Evan signaled to Selene, pointing to a weak spot in the barricade. They couldn't hold much longer. The monks tightened their circle around Kalis, their chants peaking, a defiant hymn against the onslaught. Evan's mind raced, searching for a way to turn the tide. The pressure tube was spent, but the monastery's layout offered other tricks. He remembered the central chamber's weak floor, a possible trap. The siege intensified, plasma bolts scorching the air, the monastery's warm lights flickering under the strain. Evan moved toward the chamber, luring the fight inward, his pipe ready for close combat. Selene followed, keeping Kalis close, her medkit bouncing as she ran. The monks held the entrance, their courage a quiet fire against Reese's fury. Kalis's markings glowed brighter, a symbol of hope in the dust-choked hall. The battle was far from over, but they fought as one, bound by a shared purpose. Reese burst into the monastery's central chamber, his plasma knife humming with deadly energy. His yellow eyes gleamed with pure greed, locking onto Kalis like prey. The scarred draconid hybrid towered over the chaos, his gray scales catching the flickering light. Kalis backed against a stone pillar, her royal markings pulsing bright in fear. Monks scattered, their chants faltering as Reese's men pushed through the breached barricade. Evan, battered from the siege, stood firm. His body ached, bruises blooming under his greasy overalls, but determination burned in his chest. He couldn't let Reese take her. Evan spotted the weakened floor panel, rigged earlier with mining explosives from the monastery stores. It was a desperate trap, unstable but potent. He moved slowly, drawing Reese's attention with a faint swing of his pipe. "Over here, you lizard!" Evan growled, his voice rough but steady. Reese snarled, turning his massive frame toward Evan, knife raised high. The chamber's high ceiling echoed with shouts and plasma fire. Selene fought nearby, her medkit abandoned as she wielded a monk's staff against a thug. Kalis's eyes darted between them, her small hands clenched tight. Kalis shouted suddenly, her voice cutting through the din. "You said someone like me couldn't change anything, but you did." Her words hit Evan like a spark. He recalled their first meeting, the shared cake in the dust. His heart pounded hard, realization dawning in the heat of battle. That small act of kindness had ignited this defiance, pulling them all into a fight for something bigger. Evan's perspective shifted in that moment, his pulse thundering as he saw the ripple of his choice. He wasn't just a mechanic anymore. He was her protector, their spark. Reese lunged forward, his knife slashing the air inches from Evan's chest. Evan dodged, luring the draconid closer to the rig panel. Dust and debris swirled from earlier blasts, choking the chamber. Monks held off the remaining thugs, their staffs cracking against armor. Selene disarmed one attacker, her movements precise and fierce. Evan backed up step by step, his eyes locked on Reese's snarling face. The floor creaked faintly under their weight, a warning only Evan knew. Kalis watched, trembling but rooted, her markings glowing like a star in the gloom. Evan's hand found the trigger wire, hidden behind a fallen crate. He yanked it hard. The trap sprang with a deafening roar. The floor panel collapsed in a shower of stone and metal, explosives igniting in a controlled burst. Reese plummeted into the monastery's lower depths, his roar echoing as he fell. The chamber shook violently, walls trembling like an earthquake. Dust filled the air, thick and blinding. Evan spun toward Kalis, shielding her with his body as debris rained down. Sharp rocks gouged his back, pain exploding through him. Selene rushed forward, her hands steady despite the chaos swirling around them. She grabbed Evan's arm, dragging him and Kalis toward a side alcove. "Move!" she shouted, her voice cutting through the rumble. The remaining thugs fled, their leaders' fall breaking their resolve. They vanished into the smokescreen, shouts fading into the night. Selene pulled them to safety, her breath ragged but controlled. Kalis trembled beside Evan, her small hand slipping into his. Her glowing markings cut through the dust, a beacon of hope in the dim light. The monastery's transmitter hummed louder, its signal pulsing strongly through the stone. Alliance ships were approaching, now only 1 light year away, their response closing the gap. Evan slumped against the wall, his vision blurring from the pain. Blood trickled from a gash on his forehead. Kalis knelt close, her eyes wide with worry. "You saved me," she whispered, her voice soft but clear. Evan managed a weak smile, his grip on her hand firm despite his fading strength. Selene checked his wounds quickly, her medkit open beside her. Hold on, Cole, she said, her tone urgent but calm. The chamber settled slowly, dust drifting like snow. Monks emerged from cover, their chants resuming in quiet victory. Evan's breaths came shallow, the world dimming at the edges. He looked at Kalis, her face framed by silver-purple hair. If you make it, he whispered, each word a struggle, live as a free person, not a princess. His eyes fluttered, but his message lingered. A final spark in the fading light. Kalis nodded, tears tracing her cheeks, her markings glowing warmer now. The transmitter's hum grew, a promise of rescue drawing near. Selene bandaged Evan's deepest cut, her hands never shaking. The fight's heart had passed, but its echoes remained. Evan's sacrifice bound them tighter, a mechanic's kindness reshaping fates in the dust. Alliance ships pierced Kethra's dawn sky, their silver hulls glinting as they descended like falling stars. Engines hummed low, scattering the remnants of Reese's gang into the crimson dust. The attackers fled in chaos, their vehicles kicking up red clouds as they retreated. Evan lay against the chamber wall, his vision hazy from pain, but the ship's arrival stirred him. Selene knelt beside him, her hands still bandaging his wounds, her face etched with relief. Exhaustion lined her golden brown eyes, yet she moved with quiet precision. Medics from the ships rushed in, their white uniforms stark against the monastery's stone. They carried sleek kits, scanners whirring as they assessed the injured. The medics stabilized Evan quickly, injecting a pain blocker that dulled the fire in his back. Selene oversaw every step, her voice firm but soft. He took the worst of it, she said to one medic, pointing to his gashes. The man nodded, applying a healing gel that cooled his skin. Evan breathed easier, his chest rising steadily now. Kalis stood tall nearby, her royal markings glowing proudly under the dawn light, filtering through cracks. She spoke with Alliance officers, her voice steady, no longer trembling. The officers listened closely, their faces serious as they noted her story. The rightful heir, one murmured, confirming her status with a quick scan. The monks began repairs, their chants blending with the hum of Alliance drones that surveyed the damage. Stone debris littered the chamber, walls scarred from plasma fire. A monk swept rubble aside, his robe dusted red. Selene paused her work, reflecting on her debt to the Lunarian royals. Saving Kalis felt like repayment, a circle closed after years. She glanced at Kalis, pride flickering in her eyes. The girl had grown stronger, her shy demeanor replaced by quiet command. Evan, bandaged but conscious, watched from his spot. Kalis addressed the Alliance with newfound strength, her words clear and purposeful. The Alliance declared her the rightful heir, promising to restore her to the Lunarian throne with full support. Officers outlined plans, their holographic maps flickering in the air. Kalis nodded, accepting the role she once fled. Evan managed a weak smile, his body heavy but his mind clear. The elder monk approached, his face kind under his hood. From his perspective, he smiled inwardly, seeing Evan's kindness as proof that small acts could ripple across galaxies. A mechanic's shared cake had sparked peace, echoing through stars. The monk placed a hand on Evan's shoulder, his touch light and reassuring. Kalis knelt beside Evan, her silver-purple hair falling softly over her shoulders. "You saved more than me," she said, her voice warm with gratitude. "I'll honor your sacrifice. Live freely, foster peace." Her promise hung between them, a bond forged in dust and fire. Evan nodded slowly, his eyes meeting hers. "Just did what felt right," he whispered, humble as ever. The medics helped him sit up, his strength returning bit by bit. Selene joined them, her staff set aside, her calm presence grounding the moment. The trio shared a quiet look, words unnecessary now. Alliance drones hummed overhead, repairing the monastery's spires with precise lasers. Monks chanted in rhythm, their voices rising with the dawn. Warm yellow light spilled through the chamber, washing away the night's red shadows. Evan felt the shift, the air lighter, hope tangible. Kalis stood, her markings glowing softer, a symbol of renewal. Officers escorted her toward a ship, but she paused, glancing back at Evan. Her eyes held thanks, unspoken but deep. Selene helped Evan to his feet, her arms steady under his. The scene faded into calm, the trio resting under the monastery's warm yellow lights. It contrasted sharply with Kethra's red dust outside. Monks moved around them, offering water and simple food. Evan leaned against a pillar, his wounds throbbing less. Selene checked his bandages one last time, her touch gentle. "You'll heal," she said, her voice soft. Kayla sat close, her relic in hand, peace settling over her. The Alliance ships idled nearby, their silver forms a promise of change. Evan closed his eyes briefly, the dawn's light warming his face. The monk's chant softened, blending with the wind whistling through cracks. Alliance officers wrapped up their scans, nodding approval at the monastery's resilience. Selene reflected again, her debt paid, a new path ahead. Evan watched Kalis, her strength inspiring him. The elder monk observed quietly, his smile hidden but real. Small acts, vast ripples. The chamber filled with light, dust motes dancing in beams. The fight was over, but its light lingered. 1 year later, Rift Harbor's spaceport bustled with life. Ships hummed in and out. Workers moved cargo under bright lights. Reese's grip had vanished. The colony breathed freer now. Evan Cole stood as chief engineer. His hands stayed greasy from tinkering. He adjusted a ship's engine. Sparks flew faintly. The crimson dust settled more calmly. Kethra's sky stretched starry above. Evan wiped sweat from his brow. His scars from the fight had faded, but memories lingered sharp. A sleek Alliance shuttle descended smoothly. Its silver hull gleamed under the stars. Doors hissed open. Kayla stepped out. Now an ambassador for human Linarian peace. Her silver-purple hair flowed neatly. Royal markings glowed softly on her skin. She wore a simple robe, elegant but unassuming. Her large eyes scanned the spaceport. They lit up on Evan. He straightened, his smile unchanged. Warm and humble as ever. Kalis approached him quietly, her steps light on the dusty ground. "Evan," she said, voice soft with warmth. He turned, tools clinking in his pocket. "Kalis, you made it." His words held quiet pride. She nodded, eyes bright with gratitude. In her hand, a protein cake, identical to the one he shared long ago. "This time," she said, offering it, "I share with you." Evan chuckled softly, took the cake gently. They walked to a quiet spot, sat under Kethra's starry sky. The red dust lay still around them. Evan broke the cake in half, handed her a piece. They ate slowly, as equals, not princess and mechanic. Flavors are familiar, sweet and simple. Kalis's markings glowed warmer, a sign of peace within. Evan chewed thoughtfully. The spaceport hummed nearby, a symbol of Rift Harbor's renewal. Selene joined them soon, now a medical advisor to the Alliance. Her golden brown eyes held calm wisdom. She carried a small kit, a habit from the old days. "Room for one more?" she asked, smiling faintly. Evan nodded, scooted over. Selene sat gracefully, took a small bite from the cake. Her presence grounded the moment, like always. The trio shared easy silence. Stars twinkled above. The spaceport buzzed with activity. 10,000 workers rebuilt their lives. Ships loaded with ore without fear. Laughter echoed from stalls. Evan watched it all. "Looks different now," he said quietly. Kylas nodded. "Thanks to you." Her voice carried deep thanks. Selene agreed with a soft hum. The air felt lighter. Dust no longer choked everything. Renewal spread like dawn. Kalis spoke of her work, uniting species across stars. "I travel between worlds," she said. "Build bridges where walls stood." Her eyes shone with passion, inspired by Evan's act a year ago, that simple kindness. Evan listened humbly, shrugged his shoulders. "Just shared a cake," he said. "Didn't know it'd start all this." His words understated the truth. Kalis smiled widely. Selene chuckled low. They talked of the past, the dusty encounter, the escape through the mines, the fight at the monastery. Memories flowed easily. No bitterness lingered, only bonds strengthened. Kalis touched her markings. "I live free now," she said. Not just as a princess. Evan nodded. His eyes met hers. Pride swelled quietly in his chest. Selene added her stories, healing wounds across alliances. The stars wheeled overhead. Kethra's crimson hue softened at night. The spaceport's lights flickered distance. A shuttle launched smoothly, trail of light across the sky. Evan leaned back, content in the moment. Kalis laughed suddenly, a light, free sound. Evan joined in. Selene, too. Their laughter rang under the stars, a testament to one small act. The cake is finished, crumbs dusted their hands. Kalis stood slowly. I must go soon, she said, but her eyes lingered. Evan rose with her. Come back any time. His voice is warm. Selene nodded in agreement. The trio shared a final look. Bonds are unbreakable now. Kalis boarded her shuttle. Doors closed softly. It lifted into the night. Evan watched it vanish among the stars. Selene placed a hand on his shoulder. You changed everything, she said quietly. Evan shrugged again, but a smile tugged his lips. Rift Harbor thrived below. Workers rebuilt stronger. Peace spread outward. From one shared cake, the story closed there, laughter echoing under stars. A selfless act's power endures.